our whole life we've been taught that experience is the best teacher,
Hmm.
and experience is a great teacher, but in an industry like the fire service, it's not the best teacher. Other people's experience is the best teacher, because think about it. I mean, we are so great at collecting information. We have fatality reports for every line of duty death. So for us not to say, well, let's, and I can't even tell you, there's been quite a few times I would read a fatality report and say, this is like this particular structure in our organization. So let's go do a drill right now on this, because now we know what went wrong there, and I want to make sure it doesn't happen here.
Yeah.
Even you guys are a perfect example. The in Massachusetts, the cold storage fire.
Yeah. Wow.
It was probably months after that cold storage fire. You guys had one just outside the Holland Tunnel. You remember that?
Yeah. I remember it. Yeah. Sure.
And lessons learned from that incident, you
Yeah.
implemented to this one, because
Yeah.
we didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah. That was freaky. You're talking about the Worcester fire, when the 6 firefighters were killed in Worcester, Mass. And
Yeah.
I think it was almost a year later. We had a cold storage warehouse, downtown at the Holland Tunnel. And the crazy part about that, after that fire, a couple of guys did some research. It was exactly the same architect that built the building in Worcester. He had built the same building in Jersey.
Wow. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
yeah, that's amazing. And we knew that, we found that out later. And even talking about it now, the hair on my neck stands up a little bit, because we had a couple of May days there. We lucked out. We got a couple of people out of the building, but the same challenges that Worcester had. We just they made a left, we made a right. It was lucky that we didn't have a significant loss of life in that same exact building. Yeah.
And speaking of lessons learned, maybe we could talk about one of the incidents, by the way, that we talked about in Common Valor. For example, the door chalk incident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you mind telling that story? Because what I remember about that story was you saying initially, hey, this is going to be a piece of cake. And then you talked about what happened.
I've never said that ever again. At an incident, I never said the word, this is going to be a piece of cake, because I got bit in the ass on one. Yeah, I remember you and I talking about that. The short of the long is, I was a captain. I just got promoted. I was assigned I was working at Engine 7, which was in our 3rd Battalion. And I remember this pretty clearly. We came in, there was a still alarm for a car fire. Car well involved, not a big deal, pretty much an everyday event. And we got the car pretty much knocked down, PD's got the street shut down. And one of the members of the company says, hey, Cap. I go, yeah. Take a look. And I look over some of the buildings, from a block away, and I could see this, what looks like a column of smoke. It was like a hazy night. And I got on the radio real quick, and I remember saying, Engine 7 fire dispatch, you're getting a box of report of a fire in the area of? And they said, yeah, we're putting it out now. And I said, put us in service. We're jumping on it. We're 2 blocks away. Took the initiative. The car was out, so I was content with that. And we turned the corner, and it was a good top floor fire and a 3-story brick, a row of bricks, top floor going pretty good. And I had a probationary firefighter with me and a senior member. And of course, I had my pump chauffeur. And it was venting out beautifully, out at the back. I could see it, the glow. I could see it licking up, from my distance coming in. And I remember to the pro, because his eyes were as big as saucer plates, because I put him on the nozzle that night for that tour. And I said, John, I think his name was John. I said, John, this is going to be a walk in the park. It's already vented out the back. We're going to come up to the top floor. We're just going to push it out the back. And he looked at me, and he had all the confidence in the world at that moment, because I was the captain. And we stretched up, and, we stretched dry. We got, it was a couple rooms deep. So I remember forcing the front door off the public hallway. And I remember we immediately picked up another door a few feet in. Unknowns to me at the time, it was a closet. It was like a little narrow hallway. So I remember going past the 2 doors. We had to make a right. We stopped. We had control of the door to those 2 rooms that were involved, and calling for water, and calling for water, and then calling for water. And the Engine 7 chauffeur was saying, Cap, its line is charged. And obviously what had happened, not only did the apartment door from the public hallway close on the line, that second door into the narrow hallway from the closet closed on the line. So I had to pinch by 2 different doors. And I remember we had like a tiny bit of water, just touching the ceiling, and it was rolling. And as the probationary member came back on top of me, and he was pretty upset, obviously, yelling and screaming. And all I could say to him, because he was right here in my face, I'm in his ear, I go, just keep the line flowing. And I'm trying to get to my radio, to give a mayday. I couldn't get to it because he's on top of me. And, it's one of those moments, the mask is all going yellow and orange. You could feel the heat pushing on you. And by the grace of God, a member from 15 engine, second due engine, can hear the probie yelling and screaming. And I'm just trying to keep it flowing. I'm just trying to get to my radio. I knew what the problem was, because when he pushed me back, we actually pinned ourselves against it. We couldn't get the doors open because they swung the opposite way. And a gentleman by the name of, talk about another great guy, Pete Greasy, captain of 15, he heard us. He heard all the yelling and screaming from the probie, and he just kept pushing. We were like leaning. It was like one of these accordion things on the doors, because he was trying to push in, and we were leaning back. He saw the line. He knew what was going on. And whether he came in, I don't know what he did. Pete's a big guy. He pushed it enough to the point where he pushed us forward, which I said, we're in serious trouble, but enough that water quickly got into the line. We got enough up there, all right, to darken it a little bit, all right, and we rolled out the door. The line was now whipping around. He passed us, crawled on top of us. We're out to the hall. We picked up the line, and him and his company took care of the 2 rooms. I grabbed my guy. We scrambled, down the steps we go through the other companies that are coming up. And the both of us looked like, sunburned, steam. And I remember sitting on the back step of the apparatus, looking at him, talking to him, trying to calm him down, explain what had happened, and saying to myself, once I felt he was comfortable, just to leave him for a second. I remember walking down the street going, why? What did I do wrong? What happened here? How did I get myself into that position? And it came simply down to the fact of a dry line with a door closing on the line. And ever since then, I talked about controlling the door, chalking the door, explaining the story. I think we even talked about it maybe in probie school, if I'm not mistaken, when you were with me. And it was something that was, it took me years to even tell my wife about that story. It was, to me, it was close. It was, I would think we were 30 seconds, 60 seconds away from getting seriously burned. And thank God we just kept the water moving enough just to keep it off us. It was rolling nicely at the back, thank God. But it was close. Honestly, it was very close.
That's why I wanted you to share that story, is because you did tell that to us when I was brand new on the job. And because of that, we went to our firehouse after the academy one day. We're still in the academy. So we asked if we can get some chalks for the door, and they cut them for us right there and gave them. We all put 2 of them in our pockets because of that lesson. You learn from other people's mistakes or experiences.